Okay, everyone. So I wanted to create a short podcast today, just talking about the preparation of birth and how much it is a mental preparation. Most of us don't think of birth in the mental, emotional sphere. We just think of it as this physical experience where we are pushing a baby out of our body, and that's it. And let's run to the hospital because it's an emergency and I'm going to need help. I'm going to need assistance to yank this baby out of my body in the fastest, safest way possible. Ideally, I don't experience a lot of pain because that's the big fear is pain. But when we really break down how to prepare efficiently for birth, and maybe efficient isn't the best word, how to prepare in the best way for ourselves. Maybe the best word would be individually. How can we individually prepare for birth? Because all of us are going to bring our own programming, our own conditioning, our own traumas to the birth experience, as Barbara Harper says. How we individually prepare for our own personal labor and birth experience depends on where we're at. A lot of us haven't really done any healing on the level of our previous traumas, our previous programming and conditioning, and the fears that we might bring to the birth experience itself. Some of us have, but many of us haven't. And that's not a judgment, it's just an observation of culture and society right now that we often want to distract and avoid from the pain. And that's why rates of addiction are so high, not just rates of addiction to substances, although there is a high level of that. It is addiction to our cell phones, to shopping, to TV, to sex, to everything that might get us out of our body and that feeling that we're trying to avoid and into a more pleasurable, numbed out state. You could even use things that are considered healthy or that would make us well to distract from those emotions. The ego is very clever and it wants to protect us. You could even use yoga, you could even use meditation, you can even use your friends, your family, your community, reading, learning, all of these things that at surface level are improving your health. You can even use that to distract from what's going on a deeper level. And it is very important, crucial actually, to look at this area as you prepare for labor and birth so that you don't bring that in to the birth experience and so that those programs and that conditioning doesn't take over your birth experience. Because what can happen is we might think that we've prepared, and that's on an intellectual cognitive level. We might think that we've done the work. But underneath that, those traumas that we haven't addressed, and it doesn't have to be a big trauma, even, it can even just be a negative experience or a negative belief system, can take over when we might least expect it. Because birth is such an embodied experience, needs to be such an embodied primal experience. We need to feel safe mentally, but mostly in our bodies. Feeling safe in your body, you might cognitively, intellectually think that you're safe, but your body keeps the score. Your body will say no. Your body will let you know that you're not safe. Birth is an intense experience and involves our reproductive system, the organs where women hold so much trauma, so much pain, so much angst and anger and resentment and grief. That can get in the way of the birth experience that you desire. So, what do? You're pregnant, you're preparing for your birth experience. Do you think it's time to go into the trauma? It might not feel like it, especially if you're experiencing any kind of overwhelming symptoms, but it is time. Pregnancy, conception, before we're even thinking of getting pregnant, that is our time to address all of this. so that in the months, the short amount of months, it goes by quite fast, that it takes for your due date to arrive, that you are not only physically ready for that experience, but so that you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically ready as well. And that informs the physical. As I always say, it is the mind body, the body mind. There is no connection because they are one. So our previous traumas, our emotions, our associations, our programming, our conditioning, it manifests itself in the physical realm in our body. What can we do? It is a good time to address those things. You can do it through counseling, but I highly recommend that counseling involves some kind of physical element to it, so that as you are unraveling some of these programs, conditions, traumas, stressors, belief systems, that you are able to bring in some kind of modality that helps to regulate your nervous system so that you are doing both the physical and the mental emotional work at the same time. And that association will take place in your nervous system. Talk therapy is great. We need to express ourselves. We need to be able to talk about what's going on. We need the story to be heard, to be witnessed sometimes. But the emotions come out, and we need to feel safe to express those, and also to let our nervous system know that it's okay to express those and to come back to homeostasis, to come back to a regulated place, or else we're not going to feel like it's safe to express ourselves and heal these traumas. That's where somatic therapy can really come in handy. If you're in the preconception window, if you're thinking about it and maybe it's like 6 months away before you start trying, a year away before you start trying to conceive, you have an opportunity to really play around with herbs, like botanicals, different nutraceuticals, supplements, even plant medicine if you're called to it, as far as psychedelics go, because you're not worried about any interactions with pregnancy or nursing. But only if you're called for it, called to it, and only if you have the foundation and support system. You don't want to unground yourself too much. I would highly recommend that you get into some kind of physical practice, whether it's somatic therapy, some kind of physical practice that gets you into your body as you are unraveling some of these deeper traumas. I'm going to label them as traumas just because for so many of us that's what it is, but it doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't have to be a big trauma that occurred. It can be small. It can just be your belief system, your fears around labor and birth, or just around pregnancy, or around motherhood. The reason I am creating a solo episode about this is because it is that important. It needs an episode just devoted to the mental, emotional, energetic preparation for labor and birth. Because it is said that labor and birth is 80 to 95% a mental aspect of the act, a mental game. It's not a game, but it's a mental experience. And why aren't we preparing for that? We might go to some prenatal yoga. We might do some of the things that we're told to do. A lot of times we're told not to change anything while we're pregnant because we're scared of doing something wrong. But we're really, really not addressing how we are going to be able to navigate that experience. And some of you might be thinking, like, whatever happens, happens. And that's great. I agree. Whatever happens, happens. We need to surrender to whatever happens. But we need to also stack the cards in our favor. And then we're able to surrender. Then we're able to let go. Because we've done the deeper work so that fear doesn't take over in that moment. so that our previous trauma doesn't take over in that moment, so that our previous conditioning doesn't take over in that moment. And when I say trauma, it's not just a mental trauma, it could be a physical trauma, especially for women who have had surgeries in the pelvic area, the hip area, the abdomen. Those experiences, those physical experiences, can take a hold of us. I'm inviting you to expand your concept of what birth preparation is. It's not just preparing to push something out of your body and hoping that an epidural will numb some of that experience for you. It is preparing to birth this new tiny human into the world. And your experience, your perception of that will also dictate so much of their experience of this world. That is the profound imprint that I always talk about. It is profound because it lasts a lifetime, because it creates that lens that we see the world through. Is this world safe? Can I trust? Can I love? Can I be curious? Can I explore? Can I connect? Or is this world based on survival, based on protection, based on mistrust and fear and uncertainty? And I'm going to be anxious my whole life because that's what I know will help me survive, being hyper aware and hyper vigilant? Or can I exhale because I know I will be taken care of, because I'm safe to do so? I invite you to expand your definition of birth preparation. And if you feel called to, I invite you to seek out support on that journey. I am offering a birth mentorship program. You can apply in the show notes, and it is one-on-one. You will be able to not only prepare your body physically with different physical modalities and be prepared on a physical level, as in your nutrient status, addressing any deficiencies, any lab work that needs to be done for you. The physical aspect will be taken care of. How to get your tissues well hydrated so that you are able to birth your baby with less tearing, and making your uterus nice and strong, that strong muscle that helps you push a baby out, even if you're unconscious. Even women who are in a coma and happen to be pregnant when that happens can birth their babies while they're unconscious. So that tells you how strong that uterus can be. But you're also going to get the mentorship on the mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual level, which again is 80 to 95% of the experience. So let's prepare for it like that. An athlete will not go to an event without preparing. They're not just going to hope that things go well. They're going to train for it because they know when that event is going to happen, just like you know when your estimated due date or guess date is. And you can prepare for that very significant event that you're likely only going to experience a few times in your life at most, depending on the size of your family. For some of us, it's just one, if we're even lucky enough to have a child. This matters. Birth matters. Let's prepare like it matters. If you're interested and you feel called to it, click on the application in the show notes and we will connect. We will see if we were a right fit based on your application, and we'll go from there, because you deserve to have the birth experience that you desire, and know that you can create the birth experience that you desire. You can create life. Therefore, you can create the birth experience that you desire. And that is your birthright, to have all the things that you wish for yourself and your baby and your family at that time. Thank you for listening. I am so grateful that you've tuned in, and I hope that you connect and that you get the support that you desire, that you want, that you deserve. Okay, till next time.